Stop right there.
What? I need my car. I'm freezing.
You were seen with a toddler?
She wasn't breathing. I pulled her out and did CPR.
Don't move.
She was dying. I saved her.
Cuffs.
A decorated Marine dives into a frozen lake to save a dying toddler, performs CPR, brings her back from the brink of death, and gets handcuffed while still dripping wet. This is Henry Sellers, 35 years old, 3 tours in the Middle East, combat medic who saved countless lives under fire, honorably discharged Marine, and Officer Chris Welch just arrested him for the most heroic act of his civilian life, rescuing a 2-year-old girl from 40-degree water. Officer Welch doesn't know it yet, but he has a documented history of pre-arrest profiling, multiple black citizens who said Welch targeted them based on appearance alone, complaints that were quietly buried by his department. And Henry Sellers is about to be the case that cost the city $6 million and exposes the truth about badge-wearing prejudice. When that Bodycam footage goes viral, when the child's mother testifies, when Henry's Marine Corps records surface, when Welch's pattern of racial targeting is finally revealed, this wrongful arrest will prove that institutional silence becomes institutional bankruptcy. Comment "Justice for Heroes" if you believe officers should see courage, not color. What you're about to witness is how heroism became a crime scene, and how one veteran's fight for dignity became a reckoning. Henry Sellers can't feel his fingers. The lake water is still dripping from his jacket, pooling at his feet on the frozen shore. His breath comes in ragged clouds, lungs burning from the cold and the adrenaline crash. Behind him, a toddler coughs and whimpers, alive, breathing, wrapped in a stranger's coat. That sound, those small gasps for air, should be the most beautiful thing he's ever heard. Instead, it's being drowned out by the crunch of boots on ice and a voice that cuts through the February wind like a blade. "Stop right there. Don't move." Henry turns slowly, hands already rising instinctively, a reflex from a different kind of war. Officer Chris Welch stands 10 feet away, one hand resting on his belt, the other pointing directly at Henry. The body cam on Welch's uniform is a black eye, recording everything, recording nothing that matters. "I just pulled her out," Henry says, his voice shaking from hypothermia. Not fear. Not yet. "She was face down. She wasn't breathing. I had to—" "I said don't move." Welch's hand drifts toward his holster. It's a subtle motion, practiced, meant to be noticed. Henry notices. Everyone notices. The growing crowd of onlookers from the park notices. The woman cradling the toddler notices, her eyes wide with confusion. Henry is soaking wet. His lips are turning blue. There's a child behind him who would be dead if not for him, and Officer Chris Welch is looking at him like he's the threat, like his wet clothes and exhausted stance are evidence of something criminal, like the hands that just pressed life back into a tiny chest are dangerous.
"Officer, I'm a veteran. I'm freezing. That little girl." "Turn around, hands behind your back." The metallic click of handcuffs being drawn from Welch's belt is the loneliest sound Henry has ever heard. Lonelier than the deserts of Fallujah, lonelier than the silence after an IED blast. Because those enemies wore their hatred openly. This one wears a badge. The cold steel touches his wrist, and Henry Sellers realizes that some battles don't end when you come home. Some wars are just beginning. Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, 7 years earlier. The dummy on the table doesn't have a face, but Corporal Henry Sellers treats it like it does. His hands move with precision over the synthetic chest. Find the sternum, measure 2 fingers up, interlock your hands, compress. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, repeat. The rhythm becomes a prayer, a promise. "Faster, Sellers," Gunnery Sergeant Martinez borks over his shoulder. "In the field, you don't get to take your time. That Marine is bleeding out while you're counting pretty numbers." Henry's arms burn, but he doesn't slow down. Around him, other Marines grunt through their own drills, tourniquets, pressure bandages, airway management. This isn't a hospital. This is war preparation. And the difference between a body bag and a brother coming home is 60 seconds, and the willingness to act. "You know why we teach you this, Sellers?" Martinez crouches beside him, watching his form. "Because trigger pullers are a dime a dozen. Any fool can learn to shoot. But a Marine who can keep his buddy breathing under fire, that Marine is worth his weight in gold. That Marine brings people home." Henry nods, sweat dripping from his chin. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. The dummy's plastic chest rises and falls. It's not real, but the muscle memory is. The commitment is. 6 months later, Henry is in Fallujah, and the dummy has a face, has a name. Lance Corporal Rodriguez, 22 years old, sucking chest wound from shrapnel, eyes rolling back as his lung collapses. The firefight is still raging. Bullets snap overhead like angry hornets. Someone is screaming for a medvac. Henry's hands are already moving. Occlusive seal over the wound. Pressure. Breathe. You don't dare die on me, Rodriguez. You don't dare. Rodriguez survives. So does Corporal Jenkins 3 weeks later when an IED flips their Humvee. So does Private Chen when he takes a round through the shoulder. Henry's hands, stained with their blood, become instruments of life. He doesn't think about it, doesn't hesitate. When someone is dying, you act. You don't ask permission, you don't wait for orders. You do what needs to be done because every life is worth saving.
That's what they taught him. That's what he became. 3 tours. 17 lives saved, a Purple Heart he never talks about, a Bronze Star for dragging 2 wounded Marines through enemy fire to an extraction point. Henry Sellers didn't become a hero by accident. He was trained for it, conditioned for it, built for it. And when he came home, when he traded desert fatigues for civilian clothes, that training didn't leave him. The instinct didn't fade. Because courage isn't something you wear, it's something you are. So when he saw a toddler face down in freezing water, there was never a choice. There was only action. Just like they taught him. 14 minutes before Henry Sellers dives into freezing water, Margaret Brewster is sitting in her Lexus SUV with a venti latte and a problem. The problem is a black man in a green jacket walking along the lakeside path. Not jogging, not fishing, just walking. And in Margaret's mind, that's suspicious. She watches him through her windshield, phone already in hand. He's not doing anything. That's what makes it worse to her. He's just there, near the playground, near the families, near the water where children play. She doesn't see a veteran enjoying a quiet afternoon. She sees a threat that hasn't materialized yet. Her finger hovers over 911. She hesitates, not because she's questioning her assumptions, but because she's crafting her story. You can't just say there's a black man existing. You have to make it sound urgent, dangerous, worthy of armed response. The call connects. 911, what's your emergency? Yes, hi, I'm at Riverside Park and there's a very suspicious man near the children's area. Margaret's voice takes on that practiced tone of concerned citizen. Authoritative, frightened, reasonable. He's been walking back and forth for several minutes, watching the kids. I really think something bad is about to happen. Can you describe him, ma'am? Black male, mid-30s, green jacket, gray hoodie underneath. He keeps looking at the children. I've never seen him here before. That last part is a lie, but it sounds good, familiar, protective. Is he approaching any children? Not yet, but wait, there's a little girl. She's near the shore and he's moving toward her now. Oh my God, I think he's going after her. She doesn't see what Henry sees. A toddler who's wandered too close to the edge, whose foot is sliding on the icy bank. She doesn't see the moment the child loses her balance. She only sees confirmation of her bias. Ma'am, stay on the line. He's running toward her. Margaret's voice rises to panic pitch. Send someone now. I think this is a kidnapping in progress. The dispatcher marks it urgent. Possible child abduction. Black male suspect. Officer Chris Welsh, already in the area, gets the call. He's 3 minutes out, lights already flashing, adrenaline already pumping. He's responding to a kidnapping, a child in danger, a predator in action. Margaret doesn't see the splash, doesn't see Henry dive into water cold enough to stop a heart, doesn't see him service with a lifeless toddler in his arms, scrambling onto the icy shore, beginning compressions with desperate precision. She's too busy giving the dispatcher play-by-play commentary on a crime that never happened. If you believe people should be treated fairly, hit subscribe.
Trolls won't. Henry sees the splash before he hears the scream. 30 feet out, maybe 40. A small disturbance in the gray water where a small toddler in a pink coat was standing seconds ago. His brain processes it faster than thought. Child, water, winter, death. And his legs are already moving. Someone shouts behind him, a woman's voice, high and breaking. "Emma! Oh God, Emma!" Henry doesn't answer, can't answer. Every second is a second the child isn't breathing. Every hesitation is brain damage, hypothermia, death. He knows the math, learned it in a classroom in North Carolina, proved it in the deserts of Iraq. Cold water is a thief. It steals heat, consciousness, life, in that order and fast. His feet hit the shore. The lake stretches before him, dark and merciless. 40-degree water, maybe colder. The kind of cold that stops hearts, seizes lungs, turns muscles to concrete. He could die doing this, knows people who have, but there's a child under that surface, and the calculation isn't even a calculation. He doesn't break stride. The water hits him like a fist. Every nerve in his body screams as the cold punches through his jacket, his clothes, his skin. His lungs lock up, the gasp reflex, the body's betrayal, trying to inhale water instead of air. He forces himself forward, each step a battle against biology. Stay calm, control your breathing. Mission first. He can't see her. The water is murky, churned up by the wind. He dives, eyes burning from the cold, scanning the bottom. Rocks, mud, shadows, nothing. She went under right there, right there. Where is she? His chest is screaming for air. His hands are already going numb. He surfaces, gasps, dives again, deeper this time. His fingers scrape the silty bottom, searching, searching. There, a flash of pink, fabric. He grabs it, pulls, and the weight is all wrong. Too heavy, too limp. He drags her up, breaks the surface with the child in his arms. Her lips are blue, eyes closed. She's not moving. No, no, you don't get to die today. The shore is 1,000,000 miles away. His legs are lead. His arms are shaking so violently he can barely hold her, but he does. He holds her like he held Rodriguez in Fallujah, like he held Jenkins, like he held every Marine who needed those extra seconds of life. His feet find the bottom. He stumbles onto the shore, lays her down on the frozen ground. Her skin is ice. Her chest isn't moving. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. His hands find the rhythm even as they shake. Come on, sweetheart. Come on. Breathe for me. Behind him, sirens wail in the distance. But right now, there's only this. Only her. Only the beat his hands are creating where her heart has stopped. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Henry's world narrows to the tiny chest beneath his hands. Everything else dissolves, the cold eating through his bones, the crowd gathering behind him, the mother's sobs. There's only the count, only the rhythm, only the fragile architecture of ribs beneath his interlocked fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Her lips are violet. Water trickles from the corner of her mouth. She's so small, can't be more than 2 years old, the same age as his niece. He adjusts his hand position, 2 fingers for an infant, heel of 1 hand for a toddler. The training is automatic, muscle memory written in a language deeper than conscious thought. 15, 16, 17. Come on, baby girl. You're a fighter. I know you are. 28, 29, 30. He tilts her head back, pinches her nose, covers her tiny mouth with his, breathes. Her chest rises. Good, airways clear, and falls. Another breath. He returns to compressions. His arms are screaming. His hands are so numb he can barely feel her anymore. Doesn't matter. Can't matter. Rodriguez didn't give up on him in Fallujah. Jenkins didn't quit when the Humvee was burning. You don't stop until they're breathing or someone with more equipment takes over. 1, 2, 3. A woman's voice breaks through his concentration. Is she... Oh, God, is she breathing? Henry doesn't answer. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Again. The cold has turned his shaking into convulsions, but his hands stay steady. They have to. 57th compression. 58th. She coughs. It's the smallest sound, barely a whisper, but Henry feels it through his palms, the sudden shift, the chest expanding on its own, the body remembering how to live. "Come on," he whispers. "That's it. Come on." She coughs again, harder this time. Water spills from her mouth. Her eyes flutter, still closed but moving beneath the lids. Henry turns her on her side, supporting her head as more lake water purges from her lungs. Each cough is a victory. Each breath is a miracle. And then her eyes open. Brown, confused, alive. She looks at him, this stranger whose hands brought her back from the edge of forever, and takes a shuddering breath, a real breath, her own breath. Henry has saved 17 lives. Held men together while they bled, breathed for lungs that had forgotten how. But this moment, this tiny girl blinking up at him in the February cold, this is the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. "You're okay," he tells her, his voice breaking. "You're okay now." Behind him, a siren screams to a stop. Car doors slam. Heavy boots hit pavement. And Officer Chris Welch steps into the scene with his hand already on his belt. Officer Chris Welch doesn't see a hero. He sees exactly what the call described. Black male, green jacket, hovering over a small white child. The script is already written in his head before he processes the scene. Step away from the child, now. Henry looks up, still on his knees, one hand steadying Emma as she coughs. Relief floods through him. Help has arrived. Medical personnel, someone who can get this little girl warm, check for secondary drowning, make sure she's really okay. "Officer, thank God. She needs to get to a hospital. She was underwater for—" "I said step away." Welch's voice is harder now. His right hand rests on his holster, thumb hooked, ready. The gesture isn't lost on Henry, isn't lost on anyone. Henry raises his hands slowly, moving back from Emma. His whole body is shaking, hypothermia setting in fast, jaw chattering so hard he can barely speak. "She fell in. I pulled her out. I had to. Turn around, hands where I can see them." The crowd that's gathered is murmuring now. Someone says, "He saved her." Another voice, "What are you doing? He's a hero." Emma's mother has her daughter wrapped in someone's coat, rocking her, crying into her wet hair. She's not looking at Welch, not looking at Henry, just holding her breathing child like she'll never let go. Henry turns slowly. His clothes are dripping, creating a pool of lake water around his feet. His lips are blue. He's visibly suffering from hypothermia, and Welch is treating him like a threat. "Officer Welch," he reads the nameplate, tries to make this human. "My name is Henry Sellers. I'm a Marine veteran. That little girl was drowning. I performed CPR. You can ask anyone here. I got a call about a suspicious person near children. Then I show up and find you alone with an unconscious child. You're going to need to explain that." The words hit Henry like a physical blow. The implication is clear, ugly, impossible. "She was dying." Henry's voice cracks from the cold, from disbelief, from something breaking inside him. "She was face down in 40-degree water. I saved her life." Welch pulls out his handcuffs. The metallic click silences the murmuring crowd. "Turn around, hands behind your back." "I'm freezing. I need medical attention. That child needs—" "Last warning. Turn around or I'll turn you around." Someone in the crowd shouts, "This is wrong!" Another person is filming now, phone raised. Emma coughs again in her mother's arms, alive, breathing, a living testament to Henry's heroism. None of it matters to Officer Chris Welch. Henry turns around, places his frozen hands behind his back, feels the steel close around his wrists like a verdict he never saw coming. He saved a life, and he's being arrested for it. Hit subscribe if you believe everyone should be treated fairly. Only haters and manipulators won't. The holding cell is cinder block and fluorescent light. No windows, no warmth. Henry sits on the metal bench in his soaking clothes, arms wrapped around himself, shaking so violently his teeth click together like castanets. He's asked 3 times for a blanket, for dry clothes, for medical attention. Each time the answer is the same. Processing takes time. 2 hours. That's how long Henry Sellers, decorated Marine veteran and hero, sits in a puddle of lake water while his core temperature drops. His fingers have gone from numb to painful to numb again. His lips feel like rubber. He knows the signs of moderate hypothermia. He's living them. This isn't an accident. This is a statement. What Officer Welch doesn't understand, what he's gambling the city won't have to pay for, is that Henry's actions are protected under Good Samaritan laws. Every state in America has them. They exist for exactly this reason, to protect people who provide emergency assistance to someone in peril. You can't be arrested for saving a life. You can't be prosecuted for rendering emergency medical care in good faith. But Welch isn't operating on law. He's operating on probable cause, that magical phrase that turns suspicion into justification. The call came in, suspicious person near children. He arrived to find Henry with an unconscious child. In Welch's mind, that's enough. The fact that Henry was performing CPR, that witnesses confirmed the rescue, that the child is alive because of him, all of that is secondary to the initial call, the initial perception, the initial bias. Probable cause is supposed to be a shield against illegal searches and seizures. It's supposed to require reasonable belief that a crime has been committed. But in practice, in situations like this, it becomes a weapon, a way to justify the unjustifiable, a legal leaf clip covering something much uglier. Henry doesn't know it yet, but his arrest violates multiple protocols. He should have been medically cleared immediately. Wet clothes and hypothermia are medical emergencies. Witnesses should have been interviewed on scene. The mother should have been asked if she wanted to press charges. None of that happened. What happened instead is that Officer Chris Welch saw a black man with a white child and filled in the blanks with his own assumptions. And because he has a badge and a gun and 14 prior complaints that were never taken seriously, he got to turn those assumptions into handcuffs. The door finally opens. A different officer, younger, uncomfortable, enters with a gray blanket and a styrofoam cup of coffee. "Your lawyer's here," he says, not meeting Henry's eyes. "You're being released. No charges." No charges. As if that erases the last 2 hours. As if being right eventually makes being violated okay. Henry takes the blanket with hands that barely work, wraps it around shoulders that have carried wounded men through gunfire and can barely carry this. Comment, "I stand for justice," if you're not siding with the bully. The video hits social media at 11:47 p.m. By midnight, it has 200,000 views. By morning, it's everywhere. Officer Chris Welch's body cam doesn't lie. It can't, and what it shows is damning. The footage opens with Welch approaching the scene. You can hear the dispatch call in the background, possible kidnapping in progress, but what the camera sees tells a completely different story. A small crowd gathered, a woman clutching a coughing toddler wrapped in a stranger's coat, and Henry Sellers, visibly shivering, soaking wet, on his knees beside a puddle of lake water. "Step away from the child, now." Welch's voice on the recording is aggressive, commanding. There's no assessment of the scene, no questions asked, just immediate escalation. Henry's response is captured perfectly. "Officer, thank God, she needs to get to a hospital. She was underwater for—" "I said step away." The internet watches as Henry raises his trembling hands, watches as he tries to explain, watches as multiple witnesses shout that he saved the girl. The body cam even catches a glimpse of Emma in her mother's arms, alive, breathing, coughing up water. None of it changes Welch's trajectory. The most damaging moment comes at the 2:47 mark. Henry, shaking so hard he can barely stand, says clearly, "She was dying. I saved her life." And Welch's hand moves to his holster. That gesture, captured in high definition, undeniable, becomes the image that defines the story.
A hero who just pulled a child from freezing water, who breathed life back into her lungs, being treated like a threat because of the color of his skin. The video goes viral not just because it's outrageous, but because it's specific. You can see Henry's military bearing even in his hypothermic state. You can see the water dripping from his clothes. You can hear Emma coughing in the background, living proof of his heroism. And you can see Welch ignoring all of it, locked into a script that has nothing to do with reality. By day 3, the media has uncovered Welch's history. 14 prior complaints, 14 allegations of racial profiling, 14 times the department cleared him. The pattern is unmistakable, undeniable, and now it's costing them. The police chief's statement is carefully worded. We take all complaints seriously and are conducting a thorough investigation. But inside the department, the conversation is different. The lawyers are running numbers. The union is distancing itself. The mayor is fielding calls from national civil rights organizations. They're looking at federal oversight, pattern and practice investigations, consent decrees, and a lawsuit they cannot win. Henry Sellers' attorney files the complaint on day 7. Wrongful arrest, violation of civil rights, deliberate indifference to medical needs, emotional distress. The demand? $6 million. The city's lawyers watch the Bodycam footage one more time and know they're going to pay it. If you can't stand people like Officer Welch, comment, "Everyone deserves respect." The settlement comes 11 months after Henry Sellers dove into freezing water to save a life. The city agrees to pay $6 million. Officer Chris Welch is terminated effective immediately. The department implements mandatory bias training and Bodycam review protocols. It's a complete victory on paper. But Henry knows the truth. You can't unarrest someone. You can't give back the 2 hours he spent shivering in a cell. You can't erase the moment when saving a child's life became evidence of a crime in someone's eyes. He stands on the courthouse steps, his lawyer beside him, cameras pointed at his face like accusatory fingers. The same cameras that broadcast his humiliation now want his triumph. The same media that questioned why he was near the lake in the first place now calls him a hero. This was never about money, Henry says, his voice steady despite the weight of what he's carrying. This was about being seen, about being recognized as a human being who did what anyone should do, save a child's life. Someone asks if he's satisfied with the outcome. Henry considers the question. Is he satisfied that it took viral video and national outrage for the city to admit what should have been obvious? That without that Bodycam footage, he'd be just another complaint buried in Welch's file. I'm satisfied that Officer Welch can't do this to anyone else, he finally answers. I'm satisfied that maybe the next black man who does something heroic won't be treated like a criminal for it. The settlement money will go toward founding the Sellers Foundation for Veterans' Legal Rights. Henry's already drawn up the plans. Free legal representation for veterans facing discrimination, bias training for law enforcement, scholarships for combat medics pursuing civilian medical careers. He's turning his pain into protection for others. Emma's mother is there, standing at the edge of the crowd. She's brought Emma, now 3 years old, healthy and vibrant. They make eye contact across the sea of reporters. She mouths 2 words, "Thank you." That's worth more than $6 million. Henry proved something that day in February. He proved that while you can handcuff a hero, you can't handcuff the truth. While you can arrest courage, you can't imprison justice. And while you can treat someone's skin color like a crime, eventually the world watches, remembers, and demands better. The click of those handcuffs echoes still, but so does the sound of Emma's first breath after Henry brought her back to life. Only those who support real heroes will hit that subscribe button. Don't be like the trolls who look the other way.